must exist for true law enforcement and true safety to exist properly.
All right, we have a caller. Let's go ahead and take the caller. Scott, you're on with Dr. Keys and Chief Steve Davis.
Good evening. My question is Chief Steve first. Chief, now are you familiar with the Obama Social Security issue?
You're talking the Social Security number?
Number, yes, sir.
Chief?
Yes, there was controversy on which number is his and where it's from.
Okay. I wanted to ask you, if you were investigating your official capacity as a police chief, an individual that these databases that are available to law enforcement were to produce these results of him having a Social Security number in a state that he never lived, what would your investigators working under you think of this?
All right, thank you, Scott. We don't have time to go in this direction, but Steve, if you could answer his question, please.
Well, first of all, that's a federal issue, so I would never be involved in that in that level. But it's a simple matter to have the records researched and find out what's true and what's not.
Let me turn to you, Dr. Keys, because the question of the authenticity of the president's birth certificate, the question of the rationale behind him having a Social Security number for someone who would be born in Connecticut, do these undermine people's comfort with his leadership in your estimation?
Well, I don't know, Stan. I can't speak for folks, I guess. I believe that when you are confronted with a situation that is filled with these kinds of, what shall we call them, anomalies, disparities, it is reasonable common sense to want to try to get straight answers. And I think the caller actually has, at the level of simple kind of logic, a point. Let's say that you're trying to establish someone's identity for purposes of an investigation, and you come across a Social Security number that has that person coming from a state that all the other records of their life indicate they've never been to. I think you would look at that as an anomaly that suggests, among other things, that you'd better probe a little harder to make sure that the identity that you're dealing with is a real identity. That it's not something that's been, in some sense, fabricated for some particular purpose. Because one of the things you want to do if you're tracking somebody down is make sure you're tracking them down, not following some phony figment down to dead ends. That's common sense. And as it would work, I think, in detecting, if you're trying to identify someone that you've encountered in an investigation, I presume that if you're trying to ascertain whether or not somebody ought to be sitting with, as they used to say, their finger on the button of nuclear weapons that can blow up their world, their power extending to decisions that can collapse our economy, their influence extending to areas that can destroy the standards and moral conscience of our people in the eyes of the world, I think you might want to know who they were. It might be a good idea. You never know. And so I think there are a lot of Americans who look at this and frankly cannot understand how shall I put it, is it incompetence, is it cowardice, is it just indifference and nonchalance of this elite in the courts and in politics, in the Congress and elsewhere? It's one of the reasons, Stan, that people talk to me about all these names they're throwing around, people running for this and running for that. And I think to myself, scratch my head, there's hardly a one of them had the guts to stand forward and speak truly to the issues that are raised by these anomalies and to address the constitutional issues that are involved in eligibility. And that, it seems to me, is a big strike against you. Because at the end of the day, if you're not willing to respect the requirements of integrity with regard to the most potently damaging office that it is in the gift of the American people to give, then I guess you're willing to misinform and lie to them about just about anything. Because if you don't care whether their vote for president, the most important vote they cast, can be cast with integrity, then you don't care whether they're represented or not. And frankly, Stan, I know very few, I don't care which party label they wear, who have had the respect for the people, the respect for the Constitution, the respect for the requirements of a real and true representation and choice in our elections. to stand forward and deal with these matters forthrightly. They've allowed folks like myself and others who are outside the purview of government to just kind of twist in the wind. First they called us names, and then they tried to tear us down. And as the facts and other things became evident and more people lined up, now they're just silent and cowering in some dark corner, unable to voice their shame. And I think that's where they belong, most of them.
Well said. Well, we're just about out of time. Chief Steve, a closing thought.
Yeah, I would think if anyone believes that Barack Obama is going to make an identity theft commercial anytime soon, forget it. It's not going to happen.
Well said. Well said. LifeLock, forget it.